Welcome to all the Indo-Mexican cycle of conference. Before starting the lecture, I request to Sujita Pillai to introduce our speaker.
A very good afternoon, one and all. So, today our speaker is Dr. Milan Kumar Chauley. Talking a bit about his education, Sir graduated in history and had a post graduation in AIHC and archaeology, later continued by PG diploma in archaeology, tourism, museology, diploma in international relations and personal management, and PhD in archaeology. Talking about his service, he was a documentation officer in the Department of Archaeology, Government of NCT of Delhi in 2002. He was an assistant archaeologist in Archaeological Survey of India in 2003, Excavation Branch 2, Purana Kila, New Delhi till November 2005, Excavation Branch 4, Bhubaneswar till April 2012. He was the superintending archaeologist through UPSC in the Archaeological Survey of India in in various circles, also like Guwahati, Hyderabad, and Aurangabad. Talking about his publications, he has written various articles on different aspects of archaeology. They are not only published in journals but also in felicitation and commemorative volumes. He has presented research papers in international and national seminars and conferences. He has three published books to his credit, one of them being Surya Prahar, a monument of excellence in Northeast, and also the pre and proto history of Eastern India. And he has assisted the report writing works of excavation at Udaygiri, Surya Pahar, Tarkenwala Dera, and Chuck 86, and has also edited the Indian Archaeology 2009-10 review. Talking about his experiences, he has traveled widely to very important archaeological monuments and sites in the country. He has participated in excavations at Balathal, Rajasthan, Dholavira, Gujarat, Rakhigari, Haryana, Govishan, Uttaranchal, Hansi, Haryana, Sanauli, Uttar Pradesh, Barbati Fort, Odisha, and Kondapur, Telangana. He was the director of excavations at Bitori Pump, Assam, and Janampet, Telangana. He has undertaken explorations on the right of river bank of river Mahanadi from Banki to Sonpur in Odisha, the ancient site of Wangchia in Mizoram, and exploration projects as well. He has taken up conservation and environmental development of monuments and sites under different type of circles like Guwahati, Hyderabad, and Aurangabad. He has also mobilized upgradation, recognition, and extension of the existing museums at Surya Pahar, Guwahati, Kondapur, Hyderabad. He has also imparted excavations training to students from various universities. As a member of the Indian delegation, he has attended symposiums and workshops in Sri Lanka and USA in 2011 and 2015, respectively. Not only wearing this feather, an additional feather becomes his membership of different associations like the Indian History Congress, Heritage Care Association, Indian Society for Prehistoric and Quaternary Studies, and Indian Archaeological Society. Sir, we welcome you on behalf and we can start the presentation.
सर आप म्यूट पर हैं. Yes.
Hello,
Yes, sir.
everybody. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak. Uh, uh, of two of my works, which is as superintending archaeologist, I had taken up in Assam and Telangana. Both had certain challenges because I'll show you how we dealt with the problems and how we could take it up. And these two sites are Ranghar, which is one of the most important structures in Sivsagar district, which was the Ahom capital. And the people of Assam, especially the Ahoms, they have a um, uh, connection with it. during Bihus and other celebrations, and it is one of the cultural center of Assam. And second is Charminar, which everyone knows because Hyderabad and Charminar are synonymous with each other. And starting with, I'll go with start with Ranghar. You see the structure when ASI took it over in 1953, it was in this condition, and it was repaired upon subsequently. And it was here not only from the cultural point of view, but in the history of Assam, the Alpha started from this monument itself because all the members of it took oath in front of this, and Alpha started as a movement against infiltration into Northeast India, especially Assam. So this structure was constructed by Parmata Singha, the Ahom ruler, in 1746, and it did not continue as an structure in use for a very long time because in 1818 the Britishers shifted the capital from Sivsagar to Jorhat. And then again, during this period when the capital was shifted, this property became an private property of a Muslim individual, and the Britishers in 1905 brought it from them. And even now, the descendants who stay just opposite to the monument, they have the original papers with them. They had sold it to the British. This is the present condition when I took it when I joined in Assam in 2013. And you can see all these areas which were the stucco work was missing, and many of the places it was plastered with cement, and wherever the stucco work was gone, it was just plastered and left blank. So since the early days, I wanted to take up the conservation of this monument, and I'll show you. This is the backside view. You can see most of the floral decorations and the decoration in between the what you call pilasters have gone. Here also you can see the missing parts, and some close-up views of how damaged it had become. And these are some of the other views. So we had some of the examples that we could do this, and in between, because my regional office was in Calcutta, I went to Calcutta in the Calcutta circle office because Northeast was controlled by them before 1885, and there fortunately I could lay my hands on some glass negatives, so we got the prints out of it. And here you can see, so if you zoom in, you can see some of the things which were extent were seen. We enlarged it, and then the problem was getting a mason to do this work because Northeast, because of the insurgency problem, no one from outside wants to come, and locally you don't get any artisans to work with lime stucco work or decorated work. So plain plaster people can do, but stucco work, there was no one to do it. And then I contacted again Calcutta Circle because they take up a lot of lime conservation. And from Mednipur, we could contact a family who have been working for 3 generations with ASI, but they were reluctant to come in Northeast and work. But it took us 6 months to convince them that we'll be taking care of them, everything from lodging, boarding, fooding, everything, and they agreed and they came. And this is how, because we started the work in 2015. You can see the dates also. In the month of June, we started, and this was the rainy season. And these people agreed during that time, so we had no other alternative. We had to give this sort of shed to work, and this is how the mortar was made. The self-slacking of lime was done here, then the mixed thing was kept here, and from there it was brought and kept here, and then mixed with organic materials and other ingredients, and then it was used for conservation. This is a very tedious work because, and a slow process, because we had to make the base, then you make the plaster over the base, and then give it a shape. And we saw making one final product like this used to take about 12 to 14 hours. So this is how we took up the work. This is the interior part. This is the exterior. Then on the roof also, inside the structure, we saw some dampness. So we just chipped off about 1 to 2 centimeter on the surface, and then replastered it with lime mortar. And you can see the reconstructed. This was previous. After the work, it became like this. Inside, it was like this. So we did this. There are some photographs of the works that we took up, and only those portions which were damaged we reconstructed. We did not touch the original part. And I tell you, even today, the original which is there, they are more durable than what we did now, because we have been using stone lime, but in the past, not only stone lime, they used shell lime also, and there were other ingredients which are difficult to get today. And there is a text called Changrun Fukaner Buranji, which is a text on what do you call architecture by the Ahoms, but it has not been completely translated. So the ratio in which there were about 22 items mixed to make the lime mortar. So we did not know the quantity. So whatever our traditional artists knew, so in that way we have made. And this was done in 2015-16. Now it's 5 years, and they are still extant at the site. And you can see how beautiful it became after the works were taken up. So I'll just skip this. You can see this, we had only this portion left. So the whole of it was completed on the basis of what is extant and the glass negatives that we got. These are some other views, and this is how we could complete. And after the work was completed, ASI was lauded for the achievement that we could do, because for years no one had taken up any such conservation in Sivsagar. Even the ULFA chairman who had surrendered, he visited, and he did not know that ASI and the state archaeology are a separate identities. So he called up the state secretary culture and congratulated him, and conveyed his best wishes for what they have done to the monument. Then the secretary culture called me and said, "Ki, this is really a good thing that you have done, and people of Assam are indebted to ASI for the work." From here, from Northeast, after serving 3 years, 9 months, I was transferred to Telangana, where I took charge of Hyderabad Circle. So here I was in Delhi in month of May 2019, and suddenly the second day we had an workshop going on. So early morning, I get a news that portion of the Minar has collapsed. So I had to rush back. And like Charminar, everyone knows it was constructed during the Qutub Shahis. Muhammad Kuli Qutub Shah constructed it in 1591, 92. And if you see the location, this was the whole palatial complex, and this was the outer fortification, which was an enclosed township during the Qutub Shahi period, leaving Golconda. And this is some sketches of that period. You can see how closely compact structures were there. And This is the elevation from four sides. On the second floor, you have a mosque, and this is the pulpit from which this is the mosque, and this is the pulpit from which the azan was called by people. And this is 160 feet tall. This is the ground plan. This is the first floor plan of the monument, and this is on the top where you have the mosque here, and this is the pulpit from which the azan used to be called. This is the interior, and I'll show some photographs how beautiful the structure is. It is one of its kind in the whole country. High ceiling, and you have four swelling steps like this to go up. This is the dome, you can see. And in this only, I'd like to show all the sides at the lower portion. You have multiple patchworks being done. This was done because the plaster over the granite interior used to just fall off because earlier we did not have any space. I'll go to that later. This is the mosque in reality. You can see beautiful stucco work being done here. It's very difficult to replicate it today. I had some friends who were descendants of Qutub Shahi period, and in their palace also and their bungalows, they said ki till 80s and early 90s maximum they could get this sort of work done, but now the masons themselves refuse to come from Iran to take up this work. So they say the materials which you get here to do the work have become spurious, so they cannot be used again, and we cannot work like this. So it's better, and even if we do, you won't get the strength. It will deteriorate within a couple of years. So they suggested them to use cement, and since 90s they are using cement for their construction and repair works. So you can see this hanging thing. You can see this is damaged, and when we had a closer look, these are supported only with wooden sticks. It's not even made properly. It's just wooden stick from some tree. They had straight sticks they have put inside, and these are hanging. Same way with the other architectural things also. They have used very this pendants like you see, and in the minars also. Uh, so the problem that Charminar faces is it is at a junction, and the whole traffic flows from around it. So because of the vibrations, many of the plasters and all these hangings have collapsed, and the pollution around it, because our science branch, which monitors the environment around it, says that nowadays there's a lot of air pollution, and during the monsoon when the rain falls, it becomes acidic because it comes down with all the pollutions in the air, and which because this is lime plaster, it reacts with it. And if you have a closer look, like I had shown you the mosque area, this is very intact, and it has still, if you touch it, it's very slippery surface. These are the interiors, but those surfaces which are exposed outside, you can this, especially this veranda over here, and those which are exposed, they have lost the glossy layer of lime over it, because of which water and the chemical suspended in it gets into it, and the mortar has lost its holding strength. That is why we have this problem. And second is a lot of development is going around. Like this is one of the developments which was one of the cause for the fall, which I'm going to talk about. The Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation, they had taken up the pedestrianization work, and they were laying this sort of pipeline around, and they use JCBs for digging. You can see the JCBs in work, and the floor, foundation for on which this was constructed is what you call a rock surface. So using JCBs for digging it caused a lot of vibrations. But luckily, it is so strong that nothing happened. But the plaster which was done over it on first night, and the immediate reason for that fall was there's a Jama Masjid nearby where the Maulvi wanted to construct an hostel. So he was using JCB for digging foundation for a seven-storied building. And that night it rained very heavily, and after the rains or during the rains at about 11, some a portion fell. So this was not the first time. Like when you go through the history of the monument, you will see that just after 100 years of its construction, there was a lightning and one of the minar had collapsed. Then in 1824, again, the Nizams, spending some 1 lakh some rupees, they had replastered the whole monument. We know that lime has a life of say 700 to 900 years. But here, if you see the example, why was it to be, if it was constructed in the 16th century, then again in 18 means 19th century, within 300 years, it had to be painted, replastered. So why was the need for that? That means there was some problem with the plaster work, because of which it had to be redone. And same we are seeing many places you see all these marks here. So this were replastered because of the vibrations, and you can see how near we did not have any space around. You can see the vehicles moving very close to the monument, and before this we didn't have this enclosure also. It was in 2002 that the GHMC agreed, because that was municipal area. They gave us 20 to 30 feet area around the monument, and we erected this sort of barricade, so which saved a little bit. And but the problem was, because of this, you non-existence of the barricade. Here we have a chilam which is inside the monument, and there is an Bhagyalakshmi temple which is again just attached to the monument. So this gives a very bad view to the monument. You can see the bus plying from nearby. When you used to take turn, it used to scratch also with the monument's borders. So this boundary wall saved a lot. And then the pedestrianization project of 2019 has further reduced not only the traffic but also pollution to a certain extent. You can see all those exposed surfaces. It was eroded and weathered like this. And earlier, composite mortar was used, in which a certain amount of cement was allowed to be used. So at that time, these works were taken up, and the problem with this work is the other part of it, because this was stronger than the part with which it merged. So you could see there were certain portions where it separated, and you could clearly see the difference between the new mortar and the older mortar. These are some of the conservation works which were taken up, and this was with lime. So you can see the difference when you do it with cement. It is slightly different, and when you do it with lime, it is different. But this, I have been asking my science branch and even other conservationists who are dealing. It is high time we have to think. Uh, Use of lime in exposed areas, because the climate has changed a lot, and lime reacts very fast with the pollutants in the atmosphere now, with the rain which it falls on it, and it corrodes and gets damaged very soon. These are other conservation parts that conservation that was taken up by ASI. This is what I was talking about. You see this decorations. It has collapsed because the base has gone, and you see there is no reinforcement. These are just pure lime mortar that was used in layers to make this, and you can see this projection from the core. This is projecting out by about say 50 to 60 centimeters, and these are the portions which fall everywhere in Telangana, or say for that matter Andhra Pradesh. You go around, you will see only this portions collapsing from the minars everywhere, because they had no reinforcement, and they are projected about 50 to 60 centimeters out. And the mortar has lost its strength. The glossy surface, which was what you call impervious to water and other things, have now gone. So water goes in, and lime, as we know, when water retention takes place, it becomes very heavy, and there are slight intervention, and it separates. And this is why you have this sort of cracks coming in, and all these damages occur. So we had just taken up the cleaning and minor repairs and painting of the minar, and then this news of the collapse came. So when we saw the records, it was seen that in 2001 also two portions had collapsed. One was this, and the other is almost the same size as that had collapsed in 2019. So we went through the records and how conservation was taken up, and even luckily the person who had in charge, the then superintending archaeologist, is from Hyderabad itself, so he was called upon. The joint director general at that time, present additional director general conservation, he flew down urgently with me, and we had an inspection of the site. And this was the earlier work, and we saw how it was done. So we had to, because there was no reinforcement, drills were made, and this sort of steel reinforcement was given. Then through net, the missing portions were filled up with lime and repats, and then the missing portion was again conserved as per original, and this is how it was completed. So people then started, the media especially, they came out with news ki the earlier repair which was taken up by ASI has only collapsed. So we had to give information ki this was the common area. It's a vent for air circulation and lighting. So earlier it had collapsed from the right hand side of this vent, and this time this is the new fall of 2019, which fell from the left hand side of the vent. So you can see this is facing inside, but when it collapsed, it even damaged a lower portion of this. And you can see some marks here. So this was an later conservation work, which was hiding the cracks that had occurred below this layer. So when we took up the repairs and painting of the minar, we could not see it. And as I told you, because of that vibrations caused by the excavation of the foundation just within 50 meters of the monument, and then the heavy rains that night, this portion collapsed. So this is the visit of the team. He is Dr. Janvi Sharma, our Additional Director General, and this is Mr. K.V. Rao, the then superintendent who had taken up the work. This is our engineer and the site in charge and me. We went out into this, and it is really an experience going up at such an height. As I told you, it's about 160 feet, and when you climb up, the wind is flowing at a great speed, and you have barely 1.5 feet between this minar and this veranda here around over this barricade. So it was very, you can see my attendant holding our additional director, sir, when he was taking the photographs. So it was a very challenging thing. So he we took a decision that like it was done last time, we will be taking it up in the same way. So the most difficult part was, you can see when it fell, and when this is the waste which after when it fell, it broke two of the what you call stones at the basement around the monument, and we found this sort of nails inside. This were the reinforcement that was used for subsequent plaster to make the plaster about 50 to 60 centimeter thick. This is how we brought up all the bullies, the wooden, what do you call, wooden poles for the conservation work. And it took us about a month only to tie the scaffolding with the help of this wooden beams. And this is thin ones, which can be bent as per need because it is not of the same size, and using an iron scaffolding would have been very difficult, not because only of the weight, but also the dead load that it would have put on the monument. And pulling up so much of iron was very difficult up. And then for tying it up was also a difficult thing at this altitude. Then after everything was done, we inspected the thing. Then we put up a curtain around it because working at this elevation, some people may have dizziness and other things. So we completely curtained off. We made an working platform and separate environment so that whoever goes up should not feel any uneasiness. And then we could have a close look at the break, how it separated and why it separated. You can see a layer of very fine silt accumulating over this surface, and it had separated from here. And like this, you have many places we could find the silt. This is a close up of it, and you can see here also. So whenever it rained through the gaps, the very fine dust particles were going inside and creating a gap between the stone surface and the plaster surface. You can see this gap, and this is a very good evidence that this has separated. And as I told you, this was not made in at a go. To create this 50 to 60 centimeter thickness, there you can see there is no reinforcement. This is the solid granite stone blocks used, and in between, for reasons unknown, they used wood also, maybe for holding the what you call mortar. And this is how the iron clamps were used. These were just 4 inches long, 4 to 5 inches. They were embedded at different distances. So you can see various layers. Here you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it was done in layer wise. And then so when we could reach here, we saw this and we removed this where till the area where it had separated, and where it was fixed. From that area we started the reconstruction work. So there were various views on taking it up, because last time we saw they had filled in bricks and with lime mortar and then given a mesh over it. So we thought that is again an additional weight over it, when originally only lime was used. We shall be also using it, but you need to give reinforcement. So after decision, we removed the wooden beams that were there, replaced it with modern new beams, and this is how mortar was prepared. Because we had a bigger machine, but we didn't need that much of mortar. So a small grinder was procured, and in this we made the mortar, and all the organic materials and all were slacked, were allowed to soak for the period that was required, and then they were churned in this, and then again allowed to rot for a couple of days, and then that mortar was used. And we were very fortunate that. Uh, at Golconda, we had some old slack lime which was more than 2 years old. So, as we all know, the older the lime, slack lime is, and it is properly preserved, then it is very useful and much durable. So we brought it in buckets like this from Golconda, and the same was used here. So this is how all the things were mixed, and hereafter, then we used. Why is it? This is how we used the grinding machine, which was smaller for mixing the mortar, and we are really indebted to used to make the mortar himself. Every time he used to climb up 130 steps, because total you have 146 steps, then come down again to take the mortar for him. And this is how it was replaced. Then the lime mortar and stone brick bats were used for making filling the voids, and then a particular shape was arrived at. And and on the top layer, because here the maximum width of the motor we used of rust, so we used steel, and the load shape was created like we got the outer shape of it, and then over this the mason plastered the whole thing again and had a rough shape, and then again with brick bats and lime mortar we made the stucco work, the petals, and then over this the upper part was also made ready simultaneously, because we had to give time for this to dry up, and then in between, after doing this, the upper part was taken up so that the manpower is not wasted. And in between, the finishing work of the petals was taken up, and this is how it was done. It's a very tedious, slow work, and simultaneously, whenever this was completed, he used to shift up and make this battlements on the top, and this is how we could do it. And just for like nowadays, when you use cement, we sprinkle cement on the top, and then we use over the surface where you have to give an mixed with water and what you call natural adhesive, plant adhesives, and then it was sprayed. And over this surface again, the plaster was given, and then with a mold that was prepared for the shape, the outlines were made, and then the inner fillings were cut out. And this is how the battlements were made over the thing. And in this way, the whole complete decoration was completed. And you can see how meticulously he has been doing all the work. And within 3 months, from starting of the erection of the scaffolding, procurement, going for the tendering, everything, within 3 months we could complete it. And this was a great achievement. And while doing this, we saw that the layer which was there, which was preventing us to see what had happened below, that was completely removed, because at some point of time a cement layer was given over it. We removed it, and the whole surface was again given a layer of lime mortar and a fine layer of lime over it, so to make it water impervious and stop water from getting in. And this is how the final finish was given, and we completed and left it. So this is what had happened on first May, and this is what we could complete in the month of July. And again, the whole Mina was returned to its pristine glory. And this is how we could complete the conservation and painting of the four Minas of Charminar. And this last year, I believe, they had taken up this because it was to be taken up subsequently. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. In this presentation, we have
But
you have
the
given the
confusion in
detailed.
between was very bad.
Yeah, yes, sir. कोई नहीं sir, तो होगा. Okay. In this presentation, you have given the detailed information about the lime conservation done by you in India. By presentation on is a very important topic, sir. I remember when I visited in 2019 in Charminar, his work is still going on. I saw that
So,
work, sir.
so you were there at that time.
Yeah, yes, sir. I've visited for my field work regarding my PhD topic, but the work is still going on. That's why I can't cover all the sections. Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Now I am requesting to Sujita to open next.
So after seeing this presentation,
So,
if there is some phrase that I can use for Sir, that is definitely a person who leaves no stone unturned with lime. And here, thanks for this wonderful presentation. We are very thankful to you for being in depth, not only what exactly is lime conservation, the use, also identifying the root of from where this problem arises, and also like being in different circles, like taking care of different monuments, and also restoring black its pristine glory, not because the ancestors have left it to us. And you people have like completely done a very wonderful job, and next time we visit Charminar, this would be definitely in our mind that Milan sir had
Yes.
worked over it. And thank you so much for the presentation, and looking forward for more presentations from you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.